Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we are after market close on Friday, November 5th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. So let's talk about sort of the table of contents, if you will, the chapters of tonight's video. I want to start by talking about the warrants news that came out last night and my opinion on that. And then I want to come back and take a look at the daily chart here and talk about this larger cup that I had mentioned I see forming, and talk about what the levels for that handle might be. So if this does come down and make another handle, which is what we talked about last night, what levels would sort of keep that secondary cup and handle in play, and what levels would it sort of break that positioning. And then we'll finish things off by taking a look at Ortex and the intraday chart. Now, before we get into any of it, I do want to mention that the first link in the description below is for a form that I'm trying to crowdsource some ideas, some thoughts, survey some responses about a Patreon. I'm considering doing that. It would not replace my free YouTube videos. I would still be doing that, but if I want to get to a place where I'm spending more time throughout the day feeding up charts and content and what have you, I would have to start sort of like replacing income along with that. So this helps me get a sense of what that looks like. We're up to 30 responses, which isn't bad for just having it out for a few days. When it gets to 50, I'm going to look through everything, sort of boil it down and see if it looks like something that I could launch. And if so, take that next step and start putting it in place. So we're getting pretty close. And if you wouldn't mind throwing your thoughts in there, I would appreciate it. If it's really out of the realm of your interest, then of course don't feel that you have to. But if you'd like to share it on StockTwits or Reddit or Twitter or what have you, I wouldn't mind that either. All right, so what did I say we were going to start with? Warrants? Okay, so warrants, this came out last night after close and sold off about, 3% or so, maybe a little bit more. But basically, they're redeeming all outstanding warrants. And I actually think that this is a really good sign. This is my reaction. I posted it last night on Twitter, and then I posted it on the YouTube channel as well. And basically, this looks to me like a couple of things. One, I think it's probably a pretty shrewd move on their part because with earnings coming out next week, I think they're just sort of like dropping this at a time that it'll cycle through the news and we'll sort of like get this out of the way. And then all of the news will be about the earnings, right? And that will come very, very quickly since earnings are right around the corner. But also, I think, and this is pure speculation, but I think this has every inkling of they expect that the reaction to earnings this time around, as opposed to last time around, is going to be really, really strong. And so they want to redeem these warrants now and get that out of the way. Now, the flip side there, why the reaction is to peel back a little bit is, the dilution that will occur because of this. But it'll give them more to work with, and it'll sort of like get this out of the way and won't be hanging over anyone's head any longer. And like I said, I think that this is actually a really shrewd move, so that always pleases me, especially a company like SoFi that has such big future visions that it's trying to tackle. And also I think that it signifies that they expect the reaction to earnings to be very, very positive. This also came up, so I want to give this person some credits. This person had sent this to me last night, and my reaction was I couldn't agree with this more. But this Lincoln W. Daniel, for those waiting on good news about a company, seeing a warrant reduction is one of the best indicators that the good news is coming, and when SoFi Bank charter December 6, 2021 is our day to watch. I don't know, but he goes through his logic here and talks about why outstanding warrants equals uncontrolled future dilution. Big positive news equals rise in stock price. Rise in stock price means warrants become more valuable, which means increased future dilution that the company has no control over. I can't read the future, but this is just my thought. So I thought this was, pretty well logicked through. And in terms of like, if you're going to have speculation, having some supportive points around why you're speculating in that direction, I thought that this was actually really well thought out and communicated. So that's my 2 cents. And to the degree to which it helps us put in this handle on the secondary cup, so be it. This parabolic-ish move has been pretty intense. We're going to go look at Ortex in a minute, but the rolling 1 month price change, 43.32% to the upside. So let's not forget that. Okay, so here on the daily, to me, not a lot has changed. I see this secondary cup formation happening. And again, just to be clear, this is the first cup, right? Starting here, draw down to here, right? You see how these line up with each other? Form the top of the cup, put in the handle, bang. Now, if you see this dotted line, right? You see this secondary cup here that appears to be forming to me. Put in the handle, and then boom. So that's what I'm looking for. I think this was from, let me just check something really quick. This is how I know that we spend too much time together. I just feel free to willy-nilly poke around and and do things in the midst of the video. But anyway, just needed to see if I could get rid of this, which is from yesterday, so I can. And all right, so in terms of so my rule of thumb, which if you recall the purple box last time around when I was looking to see if we were putting a cup and handle, that was the 50% retracement level that I didn't want to see it breach. I didn't want to see it fall back further than 50% of the most recent impulsive move up. And so if we look at these move ups that have sort of formed the top of the cup, right? This one here, you had this essentially like attempted impulsive move up, and then it retraced 100%, and then the real move came. And you see that exact same thing forming this time around. Attempted move up, retraced 100%, and then the real move has come. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot a retracement from the bottom of this 100% retracement prior to the real move up, as I'll call it, to this 2363, which is where we topped out. And let's see what the 50% level is. And that's where I would place my sort of like, let's not drop below here zone for the handle. So on the low side, 1914. So I'm going to stick this at 1914 if it'll let me. Yes, it will. So there goes that. We'll draw this up to 2363. All right. Oh, 2361, 2363. Now, this is the 50%. I know this is really hard to see, but that's 2139. All right. So we'll do the same as last time. 2139 will get a purple box. And I would like us to keep this uptrend. So I'm going to hope that that sustains. 2139. Okay, so we have 2132 right here anyway. All right, so there's 2138. So we'll just put it here. And we'll put that in. Now, it certainly could break this, but we'll see. But that's the level that I'd be looking for it to not come down any further than. All right. And so that's what I would look for. Now, sort of on the other side of things, how far down will it come? Well, if we take this again, sorry, I should have done this the first time around, 1914. I want to see sort of where our critical levels are. Let me just do it over here so it's a little easier to see. All right, it won't let me do 1914 again. Sometimes this Weeble app is still a little finicky, I tell you. 2363. Okay. So let's put this in a color that we know. Well, let's put this in purple for now, and then we'll fix it. Okay. So right now it's come down to the 236. So it could certainly condense around this zone and then go to fly. Now the good thing, if you're, this is really obvious right now as you're looking at it, as we get here to the 50% and up, like this 50% and this 382 are also just sitting right on top of support zones that we had identified, right? And that 2363 is just shy of a resistance level. So it's nice to see those in alignment. So that gives me some additional sort of confidence that we could have a nice handle put in here and then a nice bounce up like we saw last time. So what I would look for is, if it can't hold this 236 could totally work. It would be a really quick, short handle, but that's not so dissimilar from what we saw at 23andMe recently. Made just a very small dip into this purple box, right? Just with some wicks, and then it just was off to the races. But you see, this put in a cup and handle too, and I know this is extracurricular to this SoFi video, but I mean, there's your cup, right? And then I had put out a video with this handle coming in to this purple box, or maybe I had just put it on Twitter actually. But these are the things that I could replace and put on the Patreon. And just dipped, and then it has just been flying ever since. And now you see it's also approaching a secondary cup formation, right? So pretty interesting there. But in any case, if it can't hold that 2257 area, which is right where it closed today, then I would look at this 2192 level, which is, right on top of our 2187 support zone. And like I said, if not, then that 2139 is the lowest that I'd see it go. It could, definitely come in at any of these. I would just watch and see when it makes its next strong move up, and kind of go from there. But that's what I'm looking at the moment. But some folks are wondering about what those levels would look like, what those actual price targets for the handle would look like. And like I said, if it falls below this 2132 and flips that to resistance, then that would kind of take this secondary cup and handle that I've been talking about. It would just sort of bust that play. That play would be void at that point, in my opinion. All right, let's go take a look at the data on Ortex and catch things up from the short data side of things. Not really much else to catch up on. Shorts actually pulling out today, which again I think is just another strong sign of strength. That shorts were closing up shop today while it was dropping. Maybe gave some of them a little bit of an out that they would have otherwise felt kind of trapped. But 8.74% per Ortex estimates for the time being. And everything else still staying relatively low, though I'd keep an eye on this days to cover as it's inching up toward 2 and has come up a little bit recently. 1.82 days to cover for the time being. All right, so the intraday today, you're gonna really recognize this. So here's what happened as I see it. Basically a really quick slingshot, right? Tried to push up this morning, and I thought we had a pretty solid chance to go actually, especially because it was trying to catch support at this 2289, right? It was bouncing right there, but then just made this really strong move down, threw in this green candle and tried to, approach back up, and it just got trapped underneath and then started to move away, and there was just no catching it at that point. And this 2224, this is one of those instances where we talk about sort of being in no man's land and trying to figure out, what might be happening here. And the only thing that could have helped from something like the Ichimoku cloud would have been this buy signal that it threw right here after it started to kind of move up a little bit. But there wasn't necessarily anything there that was going to help at that point, to be honest. And, sometimes it just kind of bounces intermittently between these zones, obviously. But on that run up, it struck the VWAP, as it does many times, and then came down and said it was going to sell off some more again, and dipped a little further that time, and then just banged its head against the VWAP into close. So, kind of a boring-ish day. And if it hadn't been for the drawdown after hours last night, that sustained mostly through the pre-market this morning, then I think we would have had a flattish day that could have easily been green. But to me, this doesn't scream that this reaction is going to be catastrophic, and also doesn't scream that this is going to have a huge impact, other than maybe helping us put in this handle. I could be wrong. I'm obviously kind of bull biased with SoFi, but that would be based on the reaction today. and what we saw after hours last night and the pre-market today, and then where we ended up at the end of the day, that's my 2 cents. I think it's actually good news. I think even if I think that the market reacts the way it wants to react, and we have to play the market that we're given. But, coming down today on right now under 20 million volume, it might be over 20 million by the time all is said and done, counted. But, much lower volume than we've seen on these big green days, right? So to me, again, that's nothing to really be overly concerned about. I'd start to get overly concerned if we fall through this purple zone, to be honest. Like that's when I would get concerned if we lose that 2132 support. We'll just say that. Then that would be concerning to me. But in the meantime, we have this yellow uptrend support to catch. We have this 2187 to catch, and we have basically right where it's sitting right now, which is that first retracement level on the fib, where it could just start to bounce from here. But again, like I said, I think all of this, news about the warrants and whatnot will just be backburnered, forgotten, set by the wayside because earnings is right around the corner. And I do think that that's a smart, good move. And I do think that that's symbolic of them thinking that the reaction is going to be positive. Speculation, always keep that in mind. Could definitely be wrong. But those are my 2 cents. All right, folks. Well, I hope you had a good trading week and that you enjoy the weekend. And I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video.